Hello. I don't go online live very often. It's just not my thing. For those of you all who live in this live space, it's just not my thing. But I did want to um, give some thought to the eulogy that was given at the funeral of the late Aretha Franklin. I feel a sneeze coming on. Of course, I would have to sneeze um, in the midst of having this going on. But I did want to. I did want to talk um, about the. I did want to talk about some afterthoughts. There was so much that happened. It was a very long service. It was a very Afro American experience. I enjoyed the choir, and I think most of you, if you did not watch all of it, you watched quite a bit of it, and you
8 hours.
saw, yeah, it was 8 hours. For those of you all that don't know, Elder uh, David Hall Jr., he is a colleague of mine. We graduated together from some little school down there in Atlanta. Um,
ITC, that's right.
we are both C.H. Mason seminary graduates. And so I want to talk about, um, I have been watching so many, I've been listening to radio. I have heard so much fodder. I have even heard a comparison to Jim Jones. Um,
That was ridiculous. Yes, that's crazy.
so I wanted to come out and I want to give a response to my personal response, if you will, to the eulogy that was given. Hey, Mr. Bragg, um, that was given at the funeral of Aretha Franklin. So let me just start out and go ahead and just put it out there. Um, I stand by Jasper Williams and his eulogy. I say that not only as a Black single mom, but I say that as a humble homoletician.
A
Um,
humble one. A humble one.
I'm a humble one.
Yeah, I hear you. Go, keep talking about it. Keep talking about
I'm a humble homoletician. Let me have that.
it. I'll give it to you.
Hello, Elder Washington. How are you this evening? Um, so let me start out this way. Let me start out by saying um, I want to speak directly. I want to make a blanket statement to the Black man. Um, Black men, you are loved, you are appreciated, um, you are needed, you have something valuable to offer to your family, to your community. Um, I tell my son, all the women in the world, but there's no one that will stand by you the way a Black woman will. And
that, that was truly something in my throat. That's nothing. No. Go ahead. Finish. I'm with you all the way. Go ahead, Marvin. Go ahead.
you know what? So um, I just think it's important that we talk about the respect and the admiration of the Black man. Every culture, every man tries to emulate the Black man, and there's something that is God given um, that God created in the black man that is beautiful, that is wonderful, that is powerful, and is definitely appreciated. Um, Even think in the context of slavery, when they brought slaves here, they brought talented artisans here. They brought people with skills and talent here to build this country. And so there's so many angles that happen when a eulogy like this goes out that I think goes, it goes without saying that I think that we as black women need to reframe how we address and speak about the men in our lives. Now, to the state of Aretha Franklin as a single mom.
Now,
Uh,
this is an interesting angle right here. No one's talked about that.
so, in this context, there seems to be all this hoopla to say that this eulogy was not about her. I want to say it was, because she was a single mom.
Mm.
And we don't really know a lot of her story. And I'm hoping the biopic will give us some more insight into her story. But in her story, there's a woman where she does not become a single black mom by herself. She does not maintain that status without someone else making some decisions in that process.
Her
So,
father did it. They did address that. They did address that.
so well, but see, in the context of people saying that this eulogy wasn't about her, was it not about her?
Seemed like it was to me.
Because it seems like she walked that path.
She did.
She knew firsthand what it was like to be a single mom, which meant there's a father figure who, where is he?
Mm. Well, you know, now not only that though, Marva, she shares part of her story with you because her father raised her without the benefit of a mother, and I'll be the first one to tell you. And people get on me often because I say I say frequently that I don't think that a black woman by herself can raise a black male to maturity. And then I say this knowing that you've done a very good job with your son. I say that knowing you've done a very good job with your son. Uh,
Now
but I think for you, I think that
let me clear the record. My parents were divorced, and I was a back and forth child.
mhm,
There were some years that I lived predominantly with one parent and predominantly with the other parent.
mhm.
So I did have access to both of my parents, but for some years it was me and my daddy. I lived in the
Right,
house with
right,
my father. Yeah.
right.
Okay.
From knowing you all those years, all the stories that you talked to me about was about your father. Most of the stories that I mean, we go back to minutes, right? Let's say that's almost 20 years now. Almost. I mean, not that I'm that old, but somebody's almost 20 years, and
It has not been
I
20. Has
remember
it been 20 years?
almost one. I'm
No,
43 now.
I don't
Yeah,
want to hear, I don't want to hear no almost. I don't want to hear
I
that.
know. I know. It's right there. But the point is, all the stories I remember in your formative years, you talked about your old man. You talked about your father.
Oh, because I'm a
And I think
daddy's girl. I'm a dad.
oh yeah, you
That's
are. You are
you know,
absolutely.
and
But
that I'm a daddy's girl now. I'll fight you to the end.
well,
Hola, hermana, ¿qué pasa?
oh goodness
Besitos.
gracious. Oh my God. Anyway, so throwing out these don't be speaking Spanish. Like I don't be speaking in tongues. But do you remember that time we were in Atlanta and
You know what?
we were sitting by this table? of I think it was from Mexicans, and somebody started speaking tongues, and one of y'all went in like they were speaking in. Anyway, all right,
Oh,
let me
was
go.
that when we went to that Mexican restaurant with it was a bunch of us went to that
It was
Mexican
a crew, yeah,
restaurant.
it was a crew.
It was
It was
it
hilarious.
was one of them after service, everybody hungry, let's go get Mexican something. Anyway, can we stay on task here?
Oh yeah, so I'm here. I'm on task. I'm on task. I'm getting questions as to why I'm not at church tonight because they're having the Mason celebration, and I just got off work, so that's why I'm not at the Mason celebration. So that you all ask me why
I,
I'm not at the
I,
Mason celebration.
okay, well, I'm not in that,
Uh,
so I'm not in Memphis, so that's my excuse. I'm not there.
all right,
But so I want to
but no, let me finish this point right
okay,
quick, Marva.
finish your point.
And I always say that women have difficulty in raising boys, raising men, children themselves by themselves. Uh, I think men would have a much harder task of raising women, females by themselves. I mean, this is just, and I don't think this is not me talking. I mean, this is to some extent God talking. He didn't intend uh, Adam and Eve. I hate to go back that far, right? But he didn't intend for them to have children without each other. He intended for them to have children together. Uh, in fact, it's interesting that the Bible does not call her wife until she's ready to bring forth children, right? So that's just an interesting concept, right? That God has trained us or made us to have two-parent homes. That's his ideal way. Not
Ideal.
because things are jacked
That
up.
is the ideal.
Right.
That is God's
Ideal way. Right.
ideal. Like
Right.
somebody
Right.
down the street didn't stand out in front of Walmart and make that up.
Right. Exactly. Right. Now, I get it. I get it that we are not living up to God's ideal. I get it. I mean, I'm divorced. I get it. We're not living up to God's ideal. I'm not in a situation to where one thing I hate is that people will try to disqualify you from having an opinion about something because things ain't perfect in your story, your backstory. You can't talk about this whole marriage thing, because you've been divorced. No, 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 no. I did pretty decent for about 10 years. I did okay. Didn't finish it off. Didn't finish the race. It happens. So the point I'm making is, these children need the influence of both parents, both genders in their life. They do, and I think that we're robbing our children of that balance. First of all, we're deceiving them into thinking that they can do it and be successful, because we accept any mediocrity from our children. Nowadays, we accept any mediocrity from our children. We do not push excellence. We accept any mediocrity. And when we don't get mediocrity, it's always somebody else's fault. When our kids don't succeed, we cuss the teacher out because obviously the teacher don't like our kids, or obviously the teacher's not teaching our kids right or treating our kids right. So we accept any mediocrity, we excuse any behavior, and then when they act in a way that is embarrassing or should be attached with shame, we get rid of all shame. There used to be an issue in our community where most of the out of wedlock pregnancies didn't happen because people were just ashamed to do it. There's no shame now. 2, 3, maybe everybody makes mistakes.
Well,
And I get
and
it.
you're right because I don't know about anywhere else, but in Appalachia they call them a shotgun wedding. Now you put
You from the hill, you from the back hills of Tennessee.
okay. Watch out now. Watch out. Watch out. Watch out. I
know you are.
I'm a country girl. I can hit my target now. Watch out.
You definitely are.
So
That's why Ryan on the run.
that's why what?
Go on. I said too much.
Yeah,
I
because
forgot. We got a whole audience here.
yeah.
I can't talk about it. We got a whole audience. Go ahead. I'm taking notes. That's why my back is turned. Is that Eugene Hampton? Eugene Hampton, what's going on, man? I'm trying to stay on task. What's up, team? What's going on, man? Jacqueline Marie is in the house. I got some folk on here. Daddy Jefferson's in the house. Y'all, we all right.
So
Just the poke in the
I
house.
want to.
It's the booty. Go ahead. Go
Let
ahead.
me throw a concept out here
John Lady's in the house.
because I think you hit on something that I think is very important, and that is, when the single parent is a different gender from the child, in and it's for a girl, it's much easier because, and I say that because women kind of naturally lean into little girls. Girls have a sense of communication, and women have a sense of communication that there's a kind of lean in. So there's something that happens, where women just kind of take in. And so my dad had sisters, my mother had sisters, I had cousins. So there was church mothers. There was a circle of women that kind of happened. So even though my parents were divorced and I was from this house to that house in the context of their situation, I had some stability, and a lot of that was around the church, because my dad kept me in church. So church, I learned a lot from church mothers. It was like this connection of multiple grandmothers and aunts
Mm-hmm.
that were an
Mm-hmm.
extension of my biological family that
Mm-hmm.
were
Mm-hmm.
part of that. And that was, I'm not going to talk about the little girl, but I am going to bring her up. That was what I thought about when I saw the Ariana Grande with the little short dress on. And
Mm-hmm.
it said to me that she does not have that circle that helps her to navigate those things. Because at the moment that you're walking up there on the pulpit, you can pull on that all you want to. It's not getting any longer at that point. And at that moment, you see her kind of take a little tug at it because she kind of realizes her setting and her attire. But the question is, where's her circle? Is there someone that says, baby, that's not what you need to wear over there?
Well, here's the problem though, Marv. The problem is we have an unchurched generation. We
Now,
have two generations of unchurched folks. So
exactly.
they have no concept of what to do in the church. They go to the church, it's like going to the club. There's the same people there, the same people there.
Right.
And they go to these churches that are big. They hide, so there's no decorum. There's no need to have decorum. So does she come up there and she's tucking on her skirt? She's tucking on her skirt because all the other women around her are not, except for Fantasia. But Fantasia's tugging on her skirt because she just protrudes, and she's tugging on her shirt. She does. Fantasia's a different situation, and
You
she's
know
tugging on her
what?
skirt because she's surrounded by a bunch of men on the pulpit. Just period. So it's uncomfortable for a young girl to be in that situation where she's like kind of showing off. I felt bad for her.
I really
I
did,
really
but
felt
but
I
I
felt
think
bad.
for reasons that you know for reasons that just say to me that she, it says something about the people that she has around her, if you will. Now, the other thing that, when you flip that, I want to
Mm-hmm.
get to the flip of that. So when you have a single mom raising a male, there are
Mm-hmm.
some things that happen for males, just like there are some things that happen for females that the other gender really can't. They may know that they happen, but they can't really speak to, because it's not their experience. And
All right.
so, a child needs a mirror. A child needs something that is sets an example for them of what their goal is to reach. And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so when you have a child that is in a situation and they don't get to see what it is that they're reaching toward, or what they will naturally develop into with the proper
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
guidance and instruction, then what do you
Mm-hmm.
what happens? And that's what you see in our culture now. You see a lot of what happens when male children are raised in a female home. I don't think anyone is arguing that a mother cannot make sure the bills are paid, that a mother can't keep the
Yeah,
lights
absolutely.
on, can't keep
Absolutely.
clothes on them,
Absolutely.
that
Absolutely.
can't teach them manners to say yes ma'am and no ma'am,
Right.
can't
Right.
teach them to open doors. There are a lot of
Right.
things that a mother can teach them. But
Right.
I'll never forget when I had my son, my dad said, by the time he gets to a certain age, he should be able to walk down the street and spell his name. I can't teach him that.
Mm.
It took me a long time to even figure out what my daddy was saying when he
Right.
said that.
Right.
Now I know what he was saying. I
Right.
still
That's right.
can't teach him that. I can't.
Right. Right.
I can't teach him that.
And,
I
and,
don't know
and it's
why
not
it
that you
was
didn't
why
take
it's
care of them,
important to need to know that, but apparently that's a
but
thing.
and it's not that you didn't take care of him. It's not that you didn't make sure he ate food. It's not that you didn't make sure he had clothes. But the process of going or taking him from boy to man, or training the boy to be the father of the man that he's going to be, is a process that men ought to be taking, sharing in with other men. It, it, no one denies that a woman is resourceful, oftentimes more resourceful than men. I have no problem with that. But we're talking about kind of the problems going on in our community with our boys, and most of the problems come from a struggle to find out the extent of, or the length and breadth of their masculinity and manhood. They struggle with these two concepts. And a lot of times, as a young man growing up with a mother and you revere her, you respect the power in her, the man in you respects the power. And you gravitate toward the power that is your mother. That's why you get a lot of effeminate young boys raised by these single mothers. And because you can't say nothing about nobody's child, you can't tell that mother, baby, he sure is kind of gay acting, or he sure is funny acting.
You know what? You got to take you you go you say that to somebody, you're gonna have a problem.
You gonna have a
You're
problem,
gonna have
right?
a
They're gonna
problem.
be upset, right?
You're gonna have a
That
problem.
boy could be over there. That boy could be over there switching and smacking his teeth at the same time he talking to you, and you can't say, "Hey, yo, that boy, he kind of there's something wrong with the dead cat on the line. Something ain't right." You can't say it because, again, if you say it, people take it personally. But you ought to be able to have enough discernment inside of you to say, you know what, I'm raising this boy. He's too much like me. Am I raising a best friend? Am I raising a boyfriend? Am
Okay,
I
but
raising a girl by accident?
now here comes the issue in that. The issue in that, and this is a hard pill to swallow. The issue in that becomes, what is the mother's love or disdain for masculinity?
Boy, oh, whew.
I told you I could hit my target.
You hit that target right there, guy.
I told you I could hit
Why
my
does she
target.
hate? Look, not just hate men, but hate the characteristics of.
Because what is she going to do with her son?
She she sure can't teach him something that she hates.
She's not even going to support him
Not even support.
manifesting.
Right. That's right.
I I have seen that they won't cut their hair. They putting their hair in a bun, piercing their ears.
Oh, don't say it. If I see another man bun, I'm gonna scream. If I see another one of these boys around here growing dreadlocks because he want to have long hair, I'm gonna scream. If you're not Rasta, I, John Rasta. If you're not Rasta, I don't need to see you with dreads. Cause I'm starting to wonder about you. I'm starting to wonder about you. No, this ain't everybody. I know Fetty Wap ain't gay. I get it. But I ain't talking about that. I know Lil Wayne ain't gay. I get it. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about we are growing these boys up, and we're growing them up in a way where we don't want to be real with them. Say, young man, hey, you wasn't
But
made
see,
to be
here's
like
the
that.
thing: is if if the mother has a certain disdain for what she sees developing in her son, she's going to start veering him into something at best that is androgynous.
Right. Right. Through just criticizing them, telling them to stop, stop being so whatever. I don't know. I see it all the time. You see it a lot in the church.
You
You
know
see it a
what?
lot in the church.
Okay, so
I understand your ears are pierced, brother. Don't get mad. Well, get mad if you are that 2-year-old kid at my church whose mother pierced both his ears before he had a chance to know.
well, see, now there's a difference in an adult making a decision for themselves and a minor
Right.
child whose parents are making a decision that they got to live with the rest of their life. So
That's right. That's
those
right.
that's
He hasn't formed one bit of his personality, and you're giving him assignments and things of that nature. See, that's the problem. The problem is people take it personal. Like, hey, my ear is pierced, brother. You think I'm gay? No, but I don't think you're gay. It's not about that. I'm not beating you up at all. I'm saying, look, here the deal is: if you're a 2-year-old child, you're a 2-year-old male child. What am I doing to you when I do that? What am I doing to you when I do that? I got one better for you. You're a 15-year-old male child. I give you permission to get a tattoo. I let you make a life decision at 15 years old. I give you the permission to start parenting yourself. This is what's going on in our community, and we won't be honest about it. And if someone says something about it, we get upset.
I want to move on because I got a couple of things I need for us to cover
I know
here.
we got to finish this. We need to finish it. I'm hungry. I haven't eaten. I'm probably
I'm
not gonna
gonna
eat.
need you to stop this eating at midnight. Um,
I know. I'm not gonna eat. I'm not gonna eat. I got to pay.
so
I got
did
to feed
her now this is the question. I'm gonna throw this out here because we don't know the answer to it, but this is a question that I have, and I'm gonna throw it out
Mm.
there, and then we're gonna jump on to the next piece.
All
A
right.
question that I have is, did her um, economic needs as a single mother, because she had became a single mother fairly young, did her economic
Yeah.
needs as a single mother affect her singing something other than gospel?
Mm.
I'm gonna just throw
Well,
that out there, and maybe we'll get an answer in the biopic. But I have that question there because I always think, and this is the song that always comes to my mind is, we Jesus can work it out, work it out. We go all through there. This woman says in the song her baby needs a new pair of shoes. You in a church full of folk, and you in your community of faith, and your
right, right.
child needs shoes.
So you can't don't stop trying to make sense out of ad libbing on gospel
Oh,
songs.
okay. I knew you were going to say that. And let me tell you how prepared I am. Y'all, I'm sorry. This is the kind of conversations that David and I have. I may call you David in front of company. These are the kinds of
You
conversations
all
that
right?
we have just in
You all
general.
right?
This is what we do. We argue about nothing. So I knew you were going to say that. And I will update you on the updated version of the song. She comes back and says, went all over the world singing, giving God the praise, came back and there was a foreclosure note on the door. Now, you've been all over the world singing the gospel, giving God the praise, and there's a foreclosure note when you get home.
I'm with you on it. I'm with you on it. I'm with you on it.
So not only in the 70s did her baby need a new pair of shoes, and then she says in the updated version, she said, and guess what, y'all? Babe taking care of me. Then you still singing. The baby done grown up, got a job. Am I right? Did
All right. Hold on. All right. back up to Aretha right quick. Right quick.
It's the same.
Now listen.
It's the same subject. It's the same
Oh,
topic because what is the economics behind her as a single mom? We don't know. We don't have the answer. I don't have the answer. Maybe somebody knows.
Well, I mean, let's do it like this right here. See, okay, so her father is C.L. Franklin. See, Aretha is a special. She is a special. She's an anomaly all the way around.
Okay, I'll agree.
And trying to and kind of giving her regular normal rules may not fit well. Her father was C.L. Franklin, one of the
Fair
great
enough.
preachers of the day. All right, one of the great preachers of the day. He was always on the road. He was preaching everywhere. The story that Jasper Williams tells the true story. You ask folk in Memphis about it. Some of them, most of them, act like they was there.
There's a video. I mean, whether they were there or not, there's a video.
Right.
It's on YouTube somewhere.
So what happens is, you know, she was singing, he was preaching, you know, Jesus, and then they stopped preaching Jesus, and then she started singing what she was singing. Now, I'm not beating her up because personally, don't never mind how you make your money anyway. And from the church standpoint, she dead and gone. So I'm not going to sit here and be judging her about that stuff that's done and done now, right? But what I will say is she made money in ways that other people in her situation could not.
I'll agree.
So she was never going to have, you know, baby needs a new pair of shoes testimony. She was prosperous to the point that she took care of everybody else. And her father was already prosperous.
Right.
Because of what he was doing with his singing career and preaching career and pastoring career. There's a reason why a man ends up with the children in that time. It ain't
but a couple of reasons that a man ever ends up with the children. It ain't about 3 reasons ever.
You know how it is.
It's only about 3 reasons ever that a man ends up with his kids.
Ain't but the 3. But the thing about it is, so it's a unique situation. So, you know, I don't nothing about Aretha I find shameful when it's all said and done. When it's all said and done, was she a mother out of wedlock? Yeah. Did she grow up fast? Yeah. She has some issues? Yeah. You name me one pastor's kid, one preacher's kid who don't. Name me one preacher's kid who don't have some issues somewhere, right? And these issues come out in all kinds of different ways. You know, she just happened to be talented enough to get over them. Thank God for the preacher's kids who are talented enough or gifted enough or smart enough to get over some of the issues that go along with being in that spotlight. But the other thing, though, it blessed her because...
In the spotlight, whether you wanted to be or not.
Right. But it was okay because she was talented enough, and her being in the spotlight then, when she transitioned and went to the secular world, she was already used to being in the spotlight.
Right. And I think that's what kept her grounded. Right.
So she didn't, you know, it's not like she hadn't been cheered on before. So it didn't affect her in certain ways that affected other people. You can tell, for example, Aretha Franklin's testimony is not Whitney Houston's testimony.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm not beating up Whitney, but let's just say Whitney ain't Aretha.
True, very true. Okay, so let's get on to the next thing because
let's get to the next thing.
Because I'm on my cell phone and I don't know how much
electricity
we got less. So I hit my target. I want to take my next target, the task of the homiletician.
The task of the preacher.
Now, I'm gonna put my statement out there and I'll let you go for it. The honorarium cannot leverage the message delivered.
Oh Lord Jesus! Oh my goodness gracious! Go ahead.
Now,
talk about it.
Because if your sermon is dictated by the pay, then you become somebody's whipping boy.
That's true too.
Now, whether we stand on whichever side of the theology and understanding his preaching a message that was more than just to say something about her as a eulogy, or whether we think there is a actual hermeneutic concept that meshes with whatever your angle is in the sermon, however you take it, however you view the eulogy. It can't be on a chain that's tied to the honorarium, because at that
Okay.
point there's an integrity issue that's going to happen,
Right.
that takes away from the preacher being able to do what is his job. And I appreciated it when he did the interview with the TV station in Atlanta, and he said, I was the eulogist. Um, you brought me in for this. Don't tell me how to do what I do, because this is what I do. And he's no
Right.
lightweight.
Right.
He's no lightweight. I appreciated him standing.
Jasper Williams. Like,
I,
this Jasper Williams. This the
I
man.
appreciated him standing there, whether you agree with what he delivered in the context of the eulogy or not. I agree with him standing on, you brought me in to do this, and I did my job. I I'm gonna let that stand. I'll let you say what you want to say on that.
Well, let me start with this right here. What I'm noticing is that all this agreement or disagreement, it usually comes on how you heard about what he said.
I agree.
That's the first thing.
Mm-hmm.
These folks didn't listen to that whole message.
No, they did. They could not. Well, everybody was tired.
Well, maybe so. But I'm just talking
75
about,
songs later.
right. Oh, yeah, yo, I know. 8 hours, right? Bishop Mason didn't die. But anyway, you know, these folks didn't really they didn't listen to the whole message. If you go back and listen to that message and you see how he built it,
It's a progression.
the way they report, that's right. The way they report about it, they make it seem like he's just some guy who got up there ranting and raving and saying, "Oh, y'all black women are y'all terrible." No. He didn't do that. He didn't do that.
No, he
And one thing
actually
I
said
can't
our
do,
beautiful black women.
that's right.
He made a clarion call, brothers, help a
He made
sister out.
That's right.
That, I mean,
right.
that's really what he said. Can you help a
That's right.
sister out?
That's right. He was
And they
not
mad
like
about
that
that.
at all. But they mad about it. You know they mad about it. Whenever they start obfuscating or kind of bending what it is you're saying to meet something that everybody would disapprove of, to get public opinion turned against the preacher, you know they playing with you. They messing with you.
Well, here's what
and we so willing, Marva, we are so willing to turn our back on the preacher. I mean, oh Lord, please, Lord, forgive me, because I'm gonna say it. I shouldn't say it. Lord, I'm gonna say it. They're gonna get mad at me. Oh, they're gonna take my closure credentials. When we turned our back on Earl Carter, yeah, he went crazy. I would have went crazy. I would have turned y'all back on me too. Yeah, he's stupid. Yeah, he's stupid. Yeah, he is. But that day he preached, y'all wasn't saying that. They were in Marva that Saturday he preached. They were in that church. They were dancing, shouting. I mean, they were turning over the tables.
But now I will say this: part of what happened that night was a perfect storm, and what I mean by that is it wasn't just the sermon.
Right.
It was
It
the
was
sermon and the how does the guy get the microphone and
Bishop Porter.
You know what? You are a bucket that won't hold water. Just put everything out there.
What? Well, no. I'm not dogging Bishop. No. Listen. This is what he does. He knows how to control things. Just the boy had an agenda. He had an agenda.
Of course.
He got the microphone.
So
he had an agenda, and he looked with the mic in his hand.
So
I mean, it happens.
That was part of. So that and then it was televised, and then so it went out. At that point, it was a perfect storm. All of the ingredients were there for a perfect storm.
But the thing about it is, this is the thing. When the public went against the preacher, we should not have joined in throwing the stones too. If you don't have a refuge you can go to as the preacher, if you cheered me when I was saying it, but when it turned out that it offended your political connects, you turned your back on me, then of
Yeah.
course I'm gonna go crazy. And I'm not listen. I'm not gonna defend this guy. What he said is settled in heaven. It's on record. What we did when he preached. We
Yeah.
got videotapes of it. Of
Yeah.
them shouting and jumping. They can take it off of Facebook all they want to. They can take it off of YouTube all they want to. They was doing what they was doing, but we turned our back on them, and then we had an issue in our midst. Now we're doing the same thing. Jasper ain't called you, but he's still preaching. He's a man of God. He preached a word. He used the occasion of a life publicly lived, and he had all the eyes of Black America on him, and he said, "This is the time to say this to Black America." I have had people high up in our church. God bless them. I love them. I respect them. They have said to me. They have posted on my Facebook page. They've made comments about the things I've said. They said to me, "Wrong place, wrong time." To which I would say to them, when is the next time we're going to get all the Black folks watching the same thing at the same time? They're going to let us come on the Super Bowl and preach?
Well, so here's
Maybe
a
the NBA playoff.
yeah. So here's the thing with the eulogy. Number one, a lot of people acted like he was playing the dozens. A lot of
Right,
people took it personally, like, don't talk about my mama, because
right.
they have been in the situation and raised by a single parent. Um, and that's part of what stirred that response. And that was not what he was saying. He was actually saying, can a sister get some help? It's no question, if we can go further together than we can apart.
Apart. Absolutely.
I mean, that's easy math. and
Easy man.
but so they treated him like he was playing the dozens, and that was definitely not what he was doing. But a
Because
lot of people
they
spoke
didn't
out
watch
of
the
their
message.
well, they were not. Some of them did watch the message, but they responded out of their own hurt.
Well,
Be,
that's true. Absolutely.
because a lot of
We
people
know.
have this pushback.
I come from the school, Marva, that says preaching is 90% autobiography.
Right.
90%. And he tells us in his message. I'm not saying I've been perfect. I'm not saying I did everything right. But what I'm saying is we have to recognize what's going wrong.
So here's the other
And
thing.
I'm
and
not
and
gonna.
and, part of the and the other thing I want to say is, this is the uncle that has the right to speak in public about you're embarrassing the family in public.
Mm, mm, right,
Now,
right. Exactly.
if you're going to embarrass the family in public, you're walking
Right,
around with your underwear shining
right,
for the world to
right,
see, with your bun on top of
right,
your head and your eyebrows arched, and the
right,
child
right,
support man looking for y'all at the same time. We got some stuff
right.
going on.
You got, some, you got something to talk about.
But now you don't want nobody to say nothing. And I was talking to a friend earlier, and when we lived all in the same community, there was a different set of accountability from the community to be able to address other people's children in that context. We live very differently now. We're dispersed and assimilated as a culture now. So a lot of these younger people, they don't want you to say anything. And part of that is because they don't know who really cares.
Mm,
Because they don't know what your reason is for addressing
mm-hmm.
them, which was
Right.
very different when I was coming up, because you respected your elders, and your parents told you who was safe, who was not safe, whose yard to go in, whose yard not to go in, where stay away, just stay away from this person. Don't go over there. Don't. So we knew who was safe and who was not safe. But if an adult that was in your safe said this or that, or go or do, that was what you did. You just went with that. These kids don't live in that, so they walk around, and a lot of them have become adults that don't know who really cares.
That's true. That's true. But
And
but but now You know, that's just because they told y'all to let the village raise your children, and then you ran away from the village, and you went out to the suburbs, and there wasn't no good village out there. And now you're wondering what to do. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
I
Go ahead,
mean,
Mom.
that is the point. That is the point
Let go.
because he even brought that up in the eulogy. He talks about
Yeah.
the black economy, the black community, black
Uh,
entrepreneurs. It's not
what's
a
that?
solid one piece that makes or breaks. It is a totality. And I mean, he covered it in the sermon.
He covered it all.
And I
Covered it
think
all.
if you understand um, the culture of the city of Atlanta, and you understand the impact
Even Detroit.
his his church has in
Right.
Metro
Right. Right.
Atlanta, he's not
Right.
speaking in a vacuum. They act like he just came from under a rock and said too much,
Right.
but he's a soldier on the ground.
Yeah. You know, Jasper Williams is a different type. He's old school. He's old school.
He's different, but what was wrong
Reminds me a
with
lot
that?
of
What
my
was
father.
wrong with old school?
Nothing's wrong with it. The only thing is we are not good for taking criticism. We are not good for accepting criticism. We are great for giving it.
Oh yeah, no, we
And
got something to give.
well, we got something to give. And the other thing is, in our community, if enough of the right people say something's bad, we don't want to be on the wrong side of them. We'll say, yeah, something's bad. And what Jasper Williams did, I remember I was watching the message again. I remember somebody had posted something on my page about how when he said something, it was crickets in the house. Didn't nobody say nothing. I'm watching this message. I'm like, I don't hear these crickets. I hear people getting with this guy.
You
I hear
know
people
what? The
agreeing.
fact that
And
anybody is awake 17 hours later is
oh my God. Yeah, the fact that anybody, but let's finish this here, Marvin. Because I think this is where we are at the right point. Because the preacher has a responsibility. And in that responsibility, you know, you want to be prophetic, relevant. You want to speak to the issues of the day. If you got somebody with a worldwide personality, you can't talk about, uh,
yeah.
they on the block or whatever. And then sometimes you want to be able. I mean, if you were funeralizing Tupac,
Is
if at some
funeralizing a
point in
word?
time you don't say something about thug culture, you're doing a disservice to the moment as a preacher.
Hey, is
Yeah,
funeralizing a word?
probably not.
Okay.
Probably not.
I'm just
But you
checking.
gotta keep it. You gotta keep it on this. You gotta keep it on this level here. You can't be like you talking about the homiletian and the hermeneutics that were at stake when the man was preaching. I mean, we can talk up there if you like. If you want me to talk up there, I'll talk up there. We got Quentin Robinson is watching, so we can talk some more
Hey,
talk if you want me
Elder
to.
Robinson. You know what?
But
Is
just for
that
the rest of
maybe
them,
that's why
you gotta
nobody will
bring it
play
down.
me in Scrabble anymore.
That's probably why nobody plays you in Scrabble anymore. You trying to spell multi-syllabic words. Did you get that?
Yes.
No, no, you didn't. All right, let me finish.
Words with more than one syllable.
So look,
I
all right,
might
all
have
right.
came from the hills of Tennessee, but I did
No,
roll
you
down
didn't.
the hill quite well.
You in the country. All right, all right, all right, all right. SG roll. Let's finish this right here. Okay, so here's the thing is, um, the solution is I think he made a point. Somebody said, where are the solutions? When I hear people with these comments that they made, I'm sitting there like, you didn't listen to this man preach all the way. He offered the solution. He said, you got to go and get somebody. I mean, even at the church where I'm at, where I serve, and where I was before, I tried to make it a point to deal with the young men who were in a particular at-risk area. And when I say
Mhm.
at risk, I mean like they're at the moment where they're transitioning. They're becoming a young man now. You don't want them to be in a situation to where they're all up on the mom and they're 9, 10, 11, 12. They all up on the mom, hugging on her, hiding behind her skirt. If you're still doing that, baby, you doing that boy a disservice. You may think it's cute, but you're doing that boy a disservice. Some point in time, like you said, he got to be able to walk by himself and spell his name. There's something about the heart of a man that does that. And and also, ladies have got to understand kind of the role that they play, right? Not moms, but I'm talking about these young women as they're growing up, these young boys getting in relationships with them, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. This becomes a part of socializing too. Somebody was telling me the other day that she was going to a gender reveal party, and her friend was, she's not married, she's having a baby out of wedlock, she made, whatever remarks she had to say about that. And I said, well, the way the standards are in the world today, you should be celebrating that. I mean, she's a woman. She made her decision. This guy, he was just there. And she's like, why are you saying it on? Why are you putting it on the woman? I said, I'm putting it on the woman because no matter what happens between him and her, if she decides to keep it, he has no say in the matter. If she decides to not keep it, he has no say in the matter. If he tries to have a say, she will tell him, you don't have a say. And so now, this powerless young man who has been powerful enough to create this child, but he has nothing to say about it, he's either an 18-year child support participant against his will, whatever, or not, but the person with all the power is her. So then, if she's got this, if you got this much power, sister, you got this much power. I need you to be a little bit more discerning. If you feel like you want to lay down and do these things, why you choose to have these babies with the worst dude in the world? Literally.
Okay, so since you tell me to bring it down a notch, I'll say it like my uncle used to tell us.
Don't bring it down too far, Marva. Don't bring it down too far,
My
Marva.
uncle used to tell us, be careful who you breed with.
Jesus. Y'all from the country. They don't say that in California. They don't.
You're not in California.
I know. But we got folks in California.
You act like you know what?
I'm in Memphis. I'm a country boy. But you're right, Marva. You're right. You gotta be careful who you gotta be careful, right? I mean, you're making a life decision. If you're gonna make a life decision at 15, which you're not equipped to make a life decision at 15, when you make a life decision at 15,
are you equipped to make a life decision at 15? Because in the Jewish culture.
Oh God! What? Huh? What? Who? What? Huh? What? Come back!
I'm just saying.
Come back!
Bar mitzvah and go figure it out.
All right, we got to stop talking crazy now because my grandma is watching this. Grandma Braxton's watching this, so I got to be nice. So I can't.
Okay, we'll be nice.
To bring it down. All right, thank you.
But I'm just saying.
Yeah, you're right. But that's the whole thing, though, Marvin. You got when he talks about the issues in our community, we got to stop acting like he's lying, or like we want him to lie to us. I really think that people want us to be lied to.
You think?
Oh, he does.
Well, are you that suspicious?
Yeah. He keeps telling me he aired out our dirty laundry, and I looked at this brother like, you mean to tell me? Hold on, brother. You mean to tell me? Don't nobody else in the world?
Nobody noticed it. Everybody walking around with their underwear hanging out, but nobody noticed it.
Yeah. Don't nobody else in the world realize you had all these problems? Nobody in the world.
Nobody else saw that man bun.
Right. Nobody else listened to our music.
Nobody else saw that child support.
Nobody else. Exactly. Right. We airing out our dirty laundry for the whole world. Do you not realize our dirty laundry is not inside the house? Baby, it's on the clothesline. Everybody sees it.
It ain't on the clothesline. It's on that rope from the apartment in the next building over.
Right. Everybody sees it. And you sitting here talking about we airing out our dirty laundry. he ought to be ashamed. No, you ought to be ashamed for wanting me to be lied to. Why do you want me to be lied to? Why do you want somebody to lie to me? Lying to me is not going to help me. You're not going to help me by lying to me. Tell me the truth. I mean, I told somebody his brother got mad. He said, what did Jasper say? Jasper said, he said, in all of history, the Ku Klux Klan, he said, the Ku Klux Klan had killed it was something like 3,600 men, 3,600 black folk, right? The Ku Klux Klan in all 800-year history killed that many. Then he said, we have killed such and such number. Now it's a tragedy.
Now I heard somebody critique his numbers to say his numbers were antiquated statistics. So
okay, even if they are, can we at least not lie to ourselves and act as if somehow or another we ain't killed more of us than anybody else? Let me give you some good numbers. We 13% of the population. 6% of that 13% is black men. Of that 6% of black men, 2% of that 13% are responsible for 50% of all the violent crime in America. Now, just so we understand, they're not doing this violent crime in Collierville. They're not doing this violent crime. I'm sorry, that's Memphis suburb. They're not doing this violent crime in well, they might be doing it in Germantown now. But in
I
Cordova,
said because Germantown has turned over a couple of times.
it's
So
not the same as it used to be. They're not doing this. They're not doing this violent crime out in Oakland, Tennessee. They're doing this violent crime in our neighborhood. They're doing this violent crime where our grandmothers live. They still live in those old houses that we don't live in because we don't own houses no more. We rent. And we sit here and we want people to lie to us. A friend of mine got mad at me about using the term black on black crime, saying, hey, everybody, white on white crime, black on. I said, I hear you, brother. I hear you. But the thing about it is, black on black crime says two things to us. We have a unique situation as black folk in this country. We are deeply invested in the success or the ruination of our community. And when we do something to ruin our community, it needs to be addressed as such. Black on black crime says more than just black folks are doing crime. It's saying that we are actually participating in the further degradation of our folk. It might not sound politically correct, but it's the truth. And if someone doesn't say the truth, we're going to be sitting here lying to ourselves. Our grandparents didn't have to deal with this stuff. They had to deal with not being able to drink at good water fountains. They had to deal with not being able to go spend their money at Woolworths. If they had to deal with that stuff and what we go through, oh my goodness gracious, they man went crazy. But we going through stuff that was never supposed to happen. And people want to sit and lie about it.
So I wanna throw a theological piece in there.
Oh God. Oh, I
For
feel like doing work.
for
I gotta
what
do
you, no,
homework.
I'm just gonna make a statement. I'm gonna make a statement. In I was reading in Judges. I
Uh-oh.
think
You reading the
it's
Bible again?
I know.
You still reading the
Golly.
Bible? I don't worry about you. I don't know. You still got it like that. You got like the Bible say. You like we okay.
And
Well, go ahead.
got the nerve to use the word infallible.
I know. As long as you read it, you better know what it is.
But in Judges, I think it's chapter 2, and I kept getting stuck at this place where it talks about the enemies, and it wasn't the King James. It was another version that worded it very different from the way the King James worded it, but it talked about that
There you go. Read no crazy
that
Bible.
the children had to basically face the enemies again,
Uh-huh.
and that it was so that they would know how to war, is
Right.
the gist of the text. I
Yeah.
can't quote it in a verbatim, but I think this conversation that is happening on the other side of this eulogy, that's what this reminds me of. That this is opening up the conversation because we have to teach our children how to properly respond we have to make sure our children are prepared.
I like that.
Um,
I like that. I like that.
that
I like that. I like that. That's very good.
I'm gonna grow up one day and be a homiletician. One day,
One day,
one day,
one day,
one day.
one day you're gonna even do it.
Yeah, someday, someday.
When you do it good, Marva, I'm gonna invite you in, have you come do it so that you can do your thing. But
You
until
mean
then,
wait? So you mean when I learn how to read more than one verse at a time, or what?
I mean, it will help.
Okay,
It will help.
okay. I'm gonna practice reading 2 verses at a time. Yeah.
And not Psalms 23 either.
Jesus
Don't,
wept.
don't, thank you.
That's one. I'll give you another one another day. Give
In
me.
the beginning,
I know, right? Let me practice a few more
but
days.
here's the thing, Marv. Here's the thing. The conversation has started. No matter what anybody does, you
The
can't put the genie
conversation
back
has
in the
started.
bottle. The
The
conversation
conversation
has
has started,
started,
and that's a good thing. That's a good
and
thing.
that's a good thing. They
Because
they, 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 they try they listen. They trying to make us avoid the conversation by talking about the occasion and this, that, and the third. But they've lost. They've lost that battle. The genie's at the bottle now.
so I'm gonna close with a cup with two more things, and I'm gonna close with them quickly because I'm running out of juice here on the phone.
Oh, let me
Um,
write this down.
the Black Church as theology,
Mm-hmm.
community, and human rights.
Black church as theology. Okay.
Community
Community. Uh huh.
and human rights.
All right. Start with the last one first.
Why are you writing this down? Is there gonna be a quiz later?
You might. There might be. Go ahead. Start with the last one first.
You gonna
Hey, Carla, how you doing?
you know how I am about taking tests.
Nah, you'll be okay. You passed a few of them before.
A couple of them.
So now talk about the human rights thing. That's a huge word, huge phrase.
Human rights. Is there a human rights issue involved in the absent father in the Black home?
Hmm. Well, see, here's the thing with that. The world is trying to change that human rights question to this: is a father necessary in general for the rearing of children?
So whose human rights are violated when the father is absent?
How about we change it from an issue of rights to like an issue of practical morality? I mean, at some point in time,
But
we
how
have
do
to
you get
agree
to
on
rights with
something.
because how do you get to rights if you don't establish the
Uh,
morality?
well, the
So
reason,
so you're saying I'm asking too much.
no. I mean, but think about it. I mean, if I'm giving myself the right to live an immoral lifestyle, then I can make anything a right, right?
Okay,
So
fair enough.
so so if we want, if we establish in and of ourselves the concept that we want fatherhood, whatever that means. If it means some dude marries you and you already got kids, but he marries you and loves those kids, we want fatherhood. If it means that you get uh, good men at your church that invest in, uh, 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 oh, it's on my page, brother. That funeralization. It's on my page, man.
You know
The
what?
service
Now
on my page.
this
That's
one
funny.
right here. Where Sean? Where are you at? Are you in? You're not in Mississippi. You're in Alabama. I grew up with him, so he's
Oh
Kojic
man.
to the bone. So he
Oh,
go
he's really.
oh yeah, yeah,
Well, nice to meet you, brother Brad. Nice to meet you,
yeah.
man. Nice to meet you.
He's Kojic to the bone. His aunt is a supervisor. Uh, well, he's had two aunts that were supervisors. Mother C
What?
is his aunt. Is that your aunt? Great aunt. Aunt is his yeah his aunt. And then mother C's sister is where yeah you're in Mobile, but what's your other aunt? I want to call her by her first name, and I'm not gonna call her first name out. In Was she in Mississippi? Where's your other aunt at? That's supervisor. is it Gaston? Anyway, they're sisters. Mother C's sister, I think. Sean, would you type and fix what I'm trying to say? You know what I'm trying to say. You got
And why he does that, I'll finish this last thing about human about our community.
you well, so here's the thing. Is the two-parent home versus the single-parent home. Those Gaston, I had it right. Thank you.
It,
Um,
it, 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 it doesn't have to be a versus. See, that's the thing. See, I get it. I get it. Sometimes, sister, you might not be able to marry somebody. I get it. You may not get along with somebody else. I get that. I understand that. I'm not trying to put the two-parent home
well,
versus the
you
single
then
parent home
you can't force
against.
somebody to want to do anything. I mean, to me,
Right,
this is just me.
right. But
This is
but you
just
can
me.
you,
I
you
think
can
the
some
worst thing you can do is try to
right,
force a life with somebody who don't want to be with you.
right. But you
That to
but you but
me
you can still
is
put
the
your
most
sons.
miserable of all
But you can still
misery.
but you can still put your
Like I
sons
gotta come home
in
to
an
you and we gotta act
environment.
like we can't stand each other and act like we can stand each other because we can't stand. I'm not doing that for the rest of my life. I'm
Marva,
not.
stop telling off on yourself.
Stop what?
Stop. Stop telling off on yourself. You interrupted a good point here. Now
Okay,
listen.
well go ahead to your point. I
It's
should
not
be
about
silent and ask later. Sorry.
exactly. Go back and read that Corinthians. All right, look. All right. You can't put it. It's not versus. It's not the single parent versus the two-parent home. We don't want to put them against each other. We would like for you to aspire to higher, but if you can't do it, this is just can't. She just might not be manageable. Can't get along with nobody.
Okay, fair enough.
You know, but she can still put her sons in situations where they are influenced by males.
I agree.
Maybe she like you don't got a good father or a good grandfather. You got to put the boys in a position to where they can be fed. They can be fed this manliness, what
I
it means
agree.
to be this thing.
Well, and
And,
so
and you don't have to be, you don't have to don't make some dude marry you. You could be beautiful as my sister Carla. You could be beautiful as she is. You ain't got to make the man do nothing. She's beautiful and brilliant.
well,
Beautiful and brilliant.
back to my
And she
original.
hold on.
Okay.
And she got sons that she's raised great. She just took her oldest boy down to Morehouse. And if he has any sense, he'll go play as Omega because that's one that's gonna save him when he gets to
Stop.
in
Stop.
Atlanta. But
Stop.
anyway, I'm just saying. You gotta put him in a position to win. That's all. Put him in a position to win. Okay, go ahead.
So
Theology.
I want to go back to where we started in this and
Right.
tag back to from what you're saying now, because in that, here we go with Aretha Franklin. She is a talented, brilliant,
Right.
can cook. I mean, they talked about all of the qualities she brought to the table.
Can she cook? I didn't know she could
Yeah,
cook.
they were
You
talking
had.
about going to house to eat. Really?
Oh,
What
really?
what woman that size can't cook?
A one that got a good maid that
No,
can.
no, 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 no. From that generation, we're not talking
No, that's
about
true.
these. We're not talking about these young shorties now. But from that generation, if you that size, you know how to make that macaroni and cheese. You got to cut with a knife and scoop it out, and it stay
Right.
together. You don't make that
Right.
liquid macaroni and cheese. You know how to make some macaroni and cheese. Where yeah, I know
Oh
now.
Lord.
Now,
Oh
stop
Lord,
it.
Father,
Stop.
stop.
So if she ends up being a single parent in that day when it was the standard that you took care of your responsibilities,
Right.
today you got a whole nother, everybody's like, good luck to you. Have at it.
Have at it.
So
Yeah.
those are, so I think we're this is definitely going to be a conversation for continuation, because
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think we're going to have to talk about the distinction between male and man, female and woman.
Uh-oh.
We're going to have to say that for another day, cuz I got to go to work
That
tomorrow.
next
Uh,
Thursday.
okay, fair enough.
Next
And
Thursday.
but to end this out, I think the ultimate goal for us that I think that Jasper Williams was pointing out was spiritual stability, community stability, economic stability, and self-identity. I'm going to say that those were the overarching points that come from where he was taking the eulogy. Because here again, let's remember the eulogy is not for the deceased.
Right.
I mean,
right.
the eulogy is not for the deceased.
Not at all. It's
Um,
for us still here.
it's for the living.
Yeah.
Um, so, and then the other thing, the last thing, and I'm gonna let this be. I'll let you call the benediction on this one. Um,
Oh, Mark, this is your show. I am a guest on your show, and I
oh
thank you
no
for letting
no
me be on
no
the
no 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 no!
show. I
I am a good, well trained Kojic woman, and I know how to
Oh,
be
Lord
submissive.
Jesus. Lord, help us today, God. Lord Jesus. Oh, Marva, you act like I don't know you. Like I don't know you. You act like I don't know.
So
Oh, yeah. Give
anyway,
me a head.
I'm going to conclude with this.
Okay.
Prophecy always has a clear audience.
Okay.
Biblical prophecy always has a
Okay.
clear audience.
Unless you're Isaiah. See,
Which
there you
one?
go.
Which one? See, stop it.
All right. See,
Stop.
right.
Stop.
I'm
Because
just saying.
we're not gonna be here all night with that.
I'm just saying. You can't throw those loaded statements out like that. But I get what you're saying, though. I get what you're saying.
Now, see,
Prophecy has
you
audience.
tell me not to use big words, and then you want to dissect the little words that I use.
I'm just saying.
So, um, prophecy is uncomfortable and correcting.
Unless you're Todd Hall.
You know what? If all prophecy does is fix your credit, then where is the glory to God in that?
And why is nobody prophesying to me right now?
You know what? I'll prophesy to you right now. Thou
No,
shalt
no,
not eat
don't do it.
fajitas
Don't
at
do it.
midnight.
I'm not going to get no fajitas. I'm staying at the house. I got a peach in there. I'm gonna eat a peach for dinner tonight. That's it.
A
I
peach
got a
is
peach.
not dinner. Okay, whatever.
Oh, I bought a great. It's a great peach. I'm gonna eat the peach tonight. I'm going to bed. It's late.
Okay, I'm not fooling with you, but see, now you just proved that my prophecy was true prophecy. You're not eating fajitas at midnight tonight. Look at God.
No, I'm not eating fajitas. I had fajitas last night.
So the but Amos and Jeremiah, that's the thing.
Nope.
We're gonna have to save that for another day because I mean neither one of them were prophesying new cars, I don't think.
No, they were not.
Was it?
No, they
Was they
were
fix
not. They were.
did they fix anybody credit?
Uh, uh, Jeremiah did. Jeremiah said, "Don't y'all take me down to Egypt. I'm not going to no new home in Egypt. Don't take me to Egypt." They had to drag Jeremiah there, take him to
What
the new
chapter
home.
is it? What chapter is it that Amos is? Thank you, Sean. I will hopefully we're gonna do this. He said next Thursday, so we'll see.
We're
Uh,
gonna do this, Marvin.
okay,
This,
we're
this,
gonna do it next
this is your
Thursday.
new
This is
show. I'm
gonna
gonna be.
be
I am going to be a guest on your new show every Thursday. You need to do this. You need
okay.
to do this, Marvin. Folks need to hear your voice. Need to hear what you're talking about. If I can be a
Um
part of it, I'm more than willing to do it.
so should I have my recipes prepared next time?
Man,
So that
you should have. You should send food over here. So I don't need the recipes. Just send
say
food.
just FedEx the plate.
Yeah, the fed is way.
Now
I
you
don't
know
need
I'm a
recipes.
country girl. I make that macaroni and cheese you got to cut through with a knife.
I hear you. I hear you.
But
If you get that bad, I got Mama Braxton, Mama Grace. She'll cook it up like that. Oh my goodness.
I want well, Sean, what are you agreeing to? You want me to send you a plate too? Now you talk about you know what? So let me stick with Amos. Y'all are distracting. Um Amos, where's the scripture in Amos? Is it 2 where he's talking about them being comfortable on the white couches and all of that jazz? Is that 2 or is that 4?
Hold on, let me get it. I'm looking now.
You mean you don't know right off the top of your head?
No, I do not. Only thing on top of my head is English is let justice roll down like a mighty stream.
Oh, how original is that? Did you make that up?
I need to stop looking at the 8 and 6 and 4.
Oh, six. I knew it was a four in it somewhere.
Yeah,
It's six and four.
I know a little bit. I know a little
Oh
bit more
my
about
God.
Amos than you think. That lie. Let me read it to you, since you sitting here wondering what I know.
Oh my goodness.
Woe to them that are at ease in Zion and
In
trust in the
Zion.
mountain of
Wait a minute,
Samaria.
wait a minute. Can you read it like you Kojic, please? Don't read
I
it like
am
you
reading it like I'm
don't
coaching.
don't read it like you some educated seminarian. I need you to put the emphasis in the right places.
I can't do it. I can't do it. Okay, I can't do it. Woe
Come
to
on.
them that are in Zion and trust in the mountain of Samaria, which are named chief of nations, to whom the house of Israel came. Pass ye unto Canath
You know
and
what?
see, yeah, and see from thence go ye to Hamath the great, then go down to Gav of the Philistines. Be they better than these kingdoms, or their border greater than your border? Ye that put far away the evil day, and cause the seed of violence to come near, that lie upon beds of ivory, and stretch themselves upon their couches, and eat the lambs out of the flock, and the calves out of the midst of the stall, that chant to the sound of the viol, and invent to themselves instruments of music like David. You want to read more? That drink wine in bowls and anoint themselves with chief ointment, but they are not grieved for the affliction of Joseph. They don't care. Therefore now shall they go captive with the first that go captive, and the banquet of them that stretch themselves shall be removed. The Lord God has sworn by himself, said the Lord God of hosts, I abhor the excellency of Jacob. Can't stand y'all think y'all perfect,
All
and
right.
hate his palaces.
We
Therefore I will deliver up the city with all that is therein.
all right.
That's
So
it.
so we're gonna close right there.
Why
Um
you putting that scripture to close with? Come on, what about I know the thoughts I think towards you, see the Lord or something? You want to close with
do
that?
you know what the thoughts I think to you know where he was telling them
No, I
y'all
don't.
getting ready to go?
Yeah, I know.
They
I know. I
wasn't
know.
they wasn't going to the mall. What in the world? You act like God was saying, I'm sending you to Jamaica for a week. I know the thoughts I can y'all contact. You know what? All right, we're gonna have to call this to a close. To all of y'all who are watching this on a delayed basis, catch us apparently on next Thursday. I will have some more to talk about. It just depends on what else entertaining happens in the world. We might come
Hey,
back to some more theology, though.
we'll be done with Jasper Williams tonight. I think next week we'll be on something else.
Okay,
You know,
fair
we may,
enough. We'll see. It depends on what
we
happens
may
in the news. I can't promise that because
yeah,
if
we'll see
something
what
else,
happens.
if he resurfaces and something else good happens, we'll see.
Oh, he's gonna be around for a minute, though.
Of course. I mean, he's
Oh yeah,
he's
oh yeah,
he's
yeah.
really all
Oh
right. Well,
yeah.
thank you all, everyone. Thank you, David, Elder
Marva.
Hall, Elder
Do
Hall.
your thing, Marva.
All right.
We're proud of you.
May the Lord watch between me and thee while we are absent one from
Oh,
another.
you gonna pray the prayer of mistrust? That you gonna pray the prayer of mistrust?
My battery is
That's
running
Jacob
down.
Esau's prayer. They ain't like each other. Just pray something. Pray something
Was it
different.
Jacob and Esau? Are you sure it was Jacob and Esau?
Yes, yes, yes. I'm sure.
Thank you,
I'm just trying.
Sean. We'll
I'm,
see how it
I'm
goes.
just.
I'm not arguing with you tonight. I'm not. I'm not.
No,
I
because you
refuse.
can't argue with me.
I will be submissive and I will say, okay, David, you're right. And we'll stop
That's
there.
right. You do that. I need you to teach that. I need you to teach that tendency to my next wife. I'm gonna send it to you. And say, hey, yo, Marva, tell that whole submissive thing. Tell her that works.
It works
Tell her
really
that whole
well
thing
if you
works.
know how to work it.
There you go. That's it. That's it, Sister
Anyway,
Mary.
that's another
Th-
topic. That's another
That's
day's
another
subject.
topic all day.
All
Yeah.
right. Have a good evening. Thank you very much. And we'll do it again.
All right. Holla.